to Cherry and
Beez. Yes.
This is our first episode with a part 2. That's why we're still wearing the same fits.
We didn't change because we just want to dive right in. Part 2. We know you guys have been waiting. Here we go.
Bop, bop, bop. So,
that's right.
Yes.
Moving forward, we're going to dive right into where we were last week. We don't want to keep you waiting any longer, so here we go.
Okay.
I think that's another thing too that I would honestly recommend is having an idea, but letting your artist have a bit of creative freedom.
Yeah, because I've always said the more restrictions you give your artist, the less likely they're going to be excited to do it, and the more likely your piece is going to come out not as great.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. Like, when someone forces me to draw something, I'm not excited about it.
No, there's nothing of yourself in it. You don't feel, like, emotionally attached to the project.
Exactly, yeah.
Kind of, and you have to keep in mind that you're paying them per hour, but they drew this when you weren't paying them. And so to get them emotionally involved in it means that you're going to get maybe an hour or two more of their own drawing time before you actually go under the needle.
Exactly, if they actually are excited to do it.
Mm-hmm.
If they're excited to sit down and if they get into it, that's even better. But that's my biggest thing is I kind of just think about it like, let them do their thing, let them, and if you're going to change their style, just don't bother going to them. Go wait and go find a different artist, because at that point you're not being fair to the artist.
Yeah, you need to find an artist that will literally, and I love my my main tattoo artist for this. I told her about a piece I wanted to do on my legs, and she's like, that sounds amazing, but I don't think that I'm the right person to execute this. And having someone that will just say, I am not the right person to execute this means everything. Like, even when me and my friend were getting the matching tattoos, we were kind of matching, I don't know, it's a long story. But so she was getting this one and I was getting her Harry Potter one, and we were swapping, and then we also both got pineapples that say Stay Gold on them.
Mm-hmm.
But the artist thought that the even star was an angel. And so she tried to add like a halo to it and like a bunch of other like religious symbols to it. And Asha went in on that day to get her tattoo, and she's like, do you even know what this is? Like, she's like, no, like, she's like, this isn't really my style. It's too tribal. And she's like, okay, well, it's just this. That's just what it is, kind of. And so instead of being like, well, I'm just going to make it an angel, she should have just said, I don't know what this is. I either need you to explain it to me, or it's not my style and you need to go somewhere else for it. It was the same girl that didn't know how to do shading.
Oh, no.
I could tell that I had been being tattooed longer than she had been being tattooed, like longer than she was tattooing for. Might be a red flag.
No, I mean, don't get skeptical on young tattoo artists. If they've been trained properly, just do your research. Again, that's another thing. Do your research.
Do your research and find someone that you trust. Normally, what I do to develop this trust is I let them do a small one on me. I look at how the line work holds up over time and things like that.
Yes.
And how they do with it. And then if they do well, then I'll let them do a larger piece.
Fair. Yeah, I ain't got time for that shit.
That's how I wade into new tattoo artist waters, sort of.
Yeah. Fair.
Jumping back to picking, though, because I feel like we got a little deranged, but that was an excellent tip, so how to pick your tattoo. I think another really good example that I have was I got given a Valentine's Day card, and it had a little dancing banana with a boombox on it. Yes. And I just promised everyone that I would get it, because things have been so dark lately that I think everyone just needs to laugh. And so I got a fake, it was like a fake tattoo that you just rub on with water. And so I got it tattooed.
On your leg.
On my leg, actually, on the outer part underneath my knee.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to go. Initially, I had it planned for on my inner leg. And then I realized that there was going to be a long, sort of phallically shaped object pointing towards my lady bits. And I realized that might not be the best place for anatomical flow.
The same thing with my back piece. I almost put that on my thigh, and then I realized that there'd be antlers going into my cooch, so I avoided that with a hard no.
Yeah.
Threw it on my back.
Yep. Yeah, and that comes back again to anatomy and flow and being aware of things like that. Or even just another really good one for your back was that because you put it on your back instead of putting it on your leg, you ended up with more surface area. They were able to go into more detail, because trying to force someone to do too detailed of a piece in too small of an area, they're not going to be physically able to execute it.
I'm gonna go like right here. It was probably gonna be like the same size.
Yeah, it would have been more tight though. I think that you made the right call. I do.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Don't be afraid to speak up. I showed up to the appointment and realized that it was a bad choice. And I mean, obviously it caused the artist a little bit of grief, but in the long run, it is your tattoo. Just tip them well. Especially if they do a good job and they don't.
I tip them like 30%.
Do anything to make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, like I tip them 30%, and you know what though? Like they like my main artist Jordan, she works at Classic in Red Deer. She's amazing. Go if you can. She's pretty fully booked up now. But just going with that. Tips. Oh right, tips. So I tip this lady well. Okay, sorry, I keep losing my train of thought. So I tip her. Thank you, Cherry. So I tip her well. And what she did for me, I remember this one time I was getting my ribs done and I went on my period, which, by the way, ladies, do not get tattooed on your period. It's the same for waxing and I had a conversation when I was getting a pedicure where you don't get waxed when you're ragging because your skin becomes hypersensitive and everything just hurts like 10 times more. Like the top part of my ribs hurt more than the bottom part of my ribs because I did this. But basically what happened was that it was excruciating because yeah, I went during my period, and so I only got a B plus. I had to tap out, and because I tip her well and we've developed a good relationship, she basically just let me tap out. She let me heal for 2 weeks, come back. She finished. She didn't charge me for that session at all. She just finished my tattoo for me and sent me on my way. Because I tip her so well that it just doesn't even matter. Like we're friends now. It's just good. And I think that that's another thing too that you do by tipping them well is not only do you like get them to put more effort into your pieces.
Yeah.
But
they actually have a little bit more like ease with you, like, you know, they forgive you for things like that.
Yeah, like I can, do you know what I mean? Because initially, even if she only worked on me for 20 more minutes, because that's about all it was, it still would have cost me the full hour. Because they have to open up a new needle, which you want them to. But yeah, no, tipping them well never will hurt you. It's never done me wrong whatsoever, even though it adds the price to my tattoo. But you know what? Good work ain't cheap, and cheap work ain't good.
Yeah, 100%. Motto for life: spend monies. Just out of curiosity, how much is your body worth now, Beez?
Well, like I feel like that's not a fair question to ask me in general. I have a reason for it. Just because I am so tiny. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I'm about 100 pounds dripping wet. And so for me to do the entirety of my sleeve, like line work, only took me about 3.5 hours. But because I'm so tiny, I get like, it's almost cheaper for me to get tattooed. And so probably like 10 grand-ish, I would say, plus or minus. You definitely have more money in work than I do. But yeah, I'm so petite that I end up spending less time. As long as you can sit good, I just don't spend the money that other people spend on my tattoos because I'm too tiny. It's actually awesome.
This is fair.
Like,
to be fair, some tattoo artists work faster than others, though.
Yes, and the girl that I go to works fast, and that's another reason why she became my main tattoo artist, was because she does good work. She knows when to say, I don't know when to do something. We have a good relationship.
She works fast.
And she works fast, yeah. So I don't have to pay her.
Bada boom, bada bing.
Like, she did my entire live sleeve work in the same amount of time that it took the chick with the matching tattoo to do a tiny pineapple and my Deathly Hallows piece. Same amount of time.
Damn.
Yeah. Like, and that costs money. Like, you might find a more expensive artist, but you're going to spend less time in the chair with them, and it's going to be cheaper in the long run, and you're going to end up with a better tattoo.
Yeah, like, right now, the artist that I've been seeing, she's a little bit more pricey, but I mean, like, in all honesty, she busted out my thigh piece in, like, 2 sessions, and she busted out my arm sleeve in, like, 2 sessions.
Like,
very quickly.
Yeah, that's something that I never would have thought of when I was going into my first piece, was that literally you're paying per hour, but different people have different speeds that they work at to produce quality work.
Yeah, like, I think one of the most expensive tattoos I have to date for the size would probably be my hands. Like, my fingers. My fingers, like, all these little guys almost took, like, 45 minutes a piece.
Oh,
except for, like, the wings, obviously.
Do you have any good advice for picking out hand tattoos? I don't have any. They look like the skin is very delicate. They look like more susceptible to blowouts, and you're dealing with a space that doesn't have the capability for a lot of detail.
Yes, so I do have one blowout on my finger, and I have one, like, totally missing area on my pinky. I have yet to go get them fixed. I'm waiting for the blowout to just kind of do its thing, heal over the next couple years, obviously, see what it does. Do its thing. It's fine. I committed to hand tattoos, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
that kind of thing. You have to understand that there might be things that go wrong, especially based on you and, like, your skin. But my skin tends to hold ink very, very well. A lot of tattoo artists have said that. I was guilty for not doing proper, like, aftercare for, like, the first few... Yeah, for the first, like, the first, like, year, maybe?
Let's be honest.
Of getting tattoos, like, let's be honest. But, like, I've been moisturizing because, like, Alberta's very dry. So I have to be careful now. But I find that, like, my skin just for some reason, like, absorbs the shit and, like, heals pretty well as long as the artist did a good job. And, like, for the most part, I pay money, so I'm pretty good.
Fair enough. Yeah, and, like, I mean, with any tattoo, I think that waiting to get it covered is always smart. There's about 5 to 7 years is when it becomes really easy to cover a tattoo. And so if you end up with a tattoo that you don't really like, I think just waiting or finding something that can flow over top of it is almost your best.
I actually don't mind my blowout finger.
Well, I mean, you're so tattooed that if it was your only tattoo, it'd be super weird. But because you're so tattooed, you don't really notice it. Same with my tattoo. Like, the one on my forearm is really, really ugly, but no one notices it because I have so many other ones.
It's just the knuckle that's...
Kind of as a cover-up. This might be going backwards a little bit, but I remember... I remember my first tattoo. And I had designed this piece for myself. And I have a version of this tattoo now. But I talked to the tattoo artist that I had at the time, and he told me this. And I actually think that it's super informative, sort of. I don't know. It's helpful for designing pieces. And basically what I wanted was I wanted a bow that went to the... Like, that was at the bottom of my ankle. And I wanted the up top part to just be sort of like a weave of like a corset weave, kind of. And that looked like it was going in and out of my skin, and then tied it the bow at the bottom. And then I just had my last name over top, sort of, and like even the writing to flow into the ribbon. Do you know what I mean? I was open, right? Like you should be. And basically what he told me was that there's one person that's known in the entire world for being able to actually make it look like things can go in and out of your skin. It's Kat Von D. And there's like 1 or 2 people that are even certified to do that style of work. It's not possible. And so I ended up with just a bow, and he did a beautiful job of it. Like, it was probably the most painful tattoo I've ever done. But because it was so open already, he literally just poured red, yellow, and pink ink on his hands on 3 different occasions and just rubbed it into my tattoo to give it an off shade because the skin was so broken open. And he was a good tattoo artist, and I was squirming because it was my first one. But just letting him change it and just stop me and be like, no, that's not physically possible. But the weave in and out is not necessarily a good idea, and never approach an amateur tattoo artist to try to make it look like something's digging into your skin. They won't be able to execute it. It's kind of like doing watercolor, where if you don't find a watercolor artist, watercolor looks really, really horrible. It doesn't look good at all. It just looks like a bunch of color splooges threw up on your body.
It doesn't age well.
Yeah, there's watercolors, like tattoo artists, and that is their specialty, and those are the people you need to go to for watercolors. Same way with the bow weave, where you need to go to people that specialize in things looking like they're piercing your skin to walk away with a quality tattoo.
For sure.
Amen. But yeah, so I think that brings us to the end. So yes, watching anatomy, trying to, like, you can really find any, like, a tattoo, you just have to sort of, like, take a second and think, I guess, and just be aware of, like, be consciously aware all the time that you're looking for a tattoo and looking for those things around you every day when you're just doing regular stuff, and it won't feel as much of a task. Being aware of your tattoo artist and doing research on your tattoo artist and being aware of what their capabilities are, tipping well, and taking care of it afterwards.
Yeah, and also being aware of, like, any risks you're taking based on placement. Like I said, hand tattoos are a big, like, thing that you're going to have to understand. They could go wrong. You're going to have touch-ups. They're going to fade from the sun, anything like that. So definitely just keep in mind what you're doing, what you're committing to. That goes for anything.
And yeah, good tattoo aftercare, which we didn't talk about in this video, but if you guys want us to go into it, we would more than love to do a second part about how to pick out a beautiful tattoo, because a vessels of knowledge. Vessel of knowledge. And I think that brings us to the end
of our video.
To the end of this episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Always like, subscribe.
Tussle our channel.
Tussle the channel. That's right. Brap. We will see you guys next week. Yes.